Vagabond, Berserk. These are some of the best manga ever written. Behind their bloody soaked surface are stories that have touched millions. Something that goes on the medium of just manga and enters the world of art.
Not gonna lie, this kind of feels like just another generic Berserk and Vagabond video. Look, folks, I'll be honest. I just wanted to talk about a show that kind of just reminded me of Berserk and Vagabond. His name is Blue Eye Samurai. Blue Eye Samurai is if I gave you Vagabond, the Black Swordsman arc from Berserk, and John Wick and asked you to make a smoothie out of it. Sounds pretty good, right? But wait, I must apologize. I was lying, because you forgot to add the animation levels of Arcane, the early environmental art of Demon Slayer, and the historical fiction chops of Vinland Saga. Damn, that sounds really tasty. But wait... I was lying to you again, since we've also yet to add the coolest Disney princess and Pokemon Zuko. All the while, the chef of this smoothie is not in fact your stupid mug, but actually one of the writers on Logan and Bladerunner 2049. Was that a bit confusing? Well, let's try again. Blue Eye Samurai is one of the sleeper hits of the year, and I've not seen anybody talking about it. Maybe it's because it dropped on the weekend alongside the finale of Attack on Titan, but this is the type of show I would fully expect a moist critical, scam bully reviews, or even perhaps the GOAT, Real Life Ryan, to check out.
Seriously, Ryan? You gotta check it out.
Blue Eye Samurai on the surface seems to be your typical revenge story, with the main character on a quest for vengeance, searching out the most evil villains in the world. 4 white dudes. And what makes these 4 white dudes even worse is that they're all from the British Isles.
Hello, Poppy.
Fuck you!
But our main character, Mizu, isn't just some racist xenophobe. No. They are on this quest of vengeance because they are the product of one of these men. Hence the "Oh, it's in the title." See, this show is set in 1650s Japan, a period of time where the country had literally closed its borders to the outside world completely. And this led to some, extreme prejudice and fear-mongering around any foreigners inside Japan at the time. This means there were only 4 known white men in the country at Mizu's birth. And because Mizu is biracial, he gets bullied and torn down by the society around him.
You look like an unreal.
Marked as a demon for his blue eyes, a monster that is a curse from the gods. And you can see this really get to him. Mizu has really been shown to internalize this narrative that they are in fact this monster, almost embracing it and not feeling like it's worth holding on to their humanity because of what everybody says around them. And instead of channeling this hate and anger to change society around him for the better, he instead funnels this on his one enemy, the one that made him like this, his father, one of these 4 white men. But he doesn't know which one of them is his father. So you may as well kill all of them. And when you're talking about killing, oh boy. Blue Eye Samurai has some of the most fun action set pieces I have seen in a while. It's not uncommon for there to be some sort of gimmick for each fight as Mizu tries to find a solution for each situation. For example, in the second episode, Mizu is surrounded by 4 assassins sent to kill him. Each one of them on their own would be a challenge for Mizu, but all together, this seems to be an impossible task. So what does Mizu do? Well, they scan their surroundings and then move down the cliff face where there is a much more limited footing. And the assassins follow him. And bam, their movement is restricted, leading to them having to fight Mizu all 1 versus 1. It's cool scenes like this where the character and charisma of the show really shines through. Jane Woo, the director of the series, is an industry veteran with experience working as a story artist on tons of big Hollywood fight scenes, and her experience really shows here. However, this could cause some worry, as with a lot of heavy action shows, I personally find myself getting a little bit bored with the oversaturation of violence, where there's little downtime for characters to interact with each other and the world. But Blue Eye Samurai manages to mostly avoid this by a couple of methods. Firstly, each fight feels very unique. Each one of them feels almost like a different mission in a video game, whether it's a stealth mission, a boss rush level, or a pseudo quick time event requiring a strong internal clock. Secondly, most fights serve more than just being action to progress the plot, using unique choreography and different character combinations to help tell you more about the characters and world around you as the fight ebbs and flows, whether it is through facial expressions, impactful character decisions, and honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, using flashback backstories in the middle of a fight. But all I said would have been for naught, if not for the... Let's be honest, 3D animation has been popping off recently, and Blue Eye Samurai is up with the greats of Arcane and Spider-Verse, with jaw-dropping cinematography, tight camera work, expressive character animation, and iridescent color palette, and I mean just look at this. The team behind this have a background in mostly live action, and they use their experience not to override or dismiss the medium of animation, but instead to try and elevate it, using strengths from both mediums to their advantage.
Like everything about it was a live action aesthetic. We come out of live action. Our supervising director, Jane Woo, has an animation background, but has been working as a storyboard artist in live action, in the highest levels of live action in Marvel and Game of Thrones, on and on and on. And so we wanted to take as much of the lessons of our background and apply it to animation.
I think it's fair to say there's been a recent renaissance in 3D animation since Spider-Verse dropped 6 years ago. But it's not uncommon to see many of these works get lambasted for copying the style a little too closely and almost wearing thin this new lightning in a bottle that we have just found. But Blue Spirit, the studio behind this show, found a new and expressive style that helps it stand out from the rest of the crowd. With little limited animation and reduced eye cocaine for that TikTok brain, Blue Eye Samurai keeps a more grounded approach with a beautiful painterly style, which just fits the setting perfectly. I mean, look, the amount of wallpaper material in this series is through the roof. Furthermore, the little historical details from the particular styles of fashion at the time to the unique way that women walked in this era. There are so many moments of strong cultural and historical accuracy that helps give a believability and life to the world, despite having some pretty ridiculous action set pieces. But despite all of this, there would be a part of the animation that I would be remiss if I did not warn you of.
Peaches.
Look, I came into this series pretty blind, and due to the bright color palette and some of the more tropish character writing in the first couple of minutes, I was expecting something more along the lines of a Castlevania or Invincible. A show where there will be a lot of blood and guts flying around during the action, but that's about as explicit as it gets. But in Blue Eye Samurai, it only took about 21 minutes for a dude to slide his way out of a brothel with his family jewels on display. It was only at this point that I googled the animation studio and found out that, well, they were French. This is all to say that, hey, there's quite a bit of nudity in this series, also with a lot of gore, so it definitely fits that 18 rating it was given. I'm just saying this so it doesn't surprise you like it surprised me. That being said, as someone who is quite sensitive to these things, I wouldn't let it deter you from the story on display. The show does sometimes teeter on that edgy hedonism that can ironically make a show feel less mature, but Blue Eye Samurai displays its nudity more matter-of-factly and less overtly sexualized. Some of the best characters of this season are in fact sex workers, so there is substance to the sexuality rather than just shallow titillation. Okay, I'm going to give away a pretty obvious and minor spoiler from the first episode, so feel free to skip, but personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Mizu is a woman.
Did you guess the correct Disney princess?
If it wasn't obvious enough by some of the comments characters in the show make, or the fact that the voice acting indicates at most that she is a prepubescent boy, Mizu as a character benefits massively from being a woman. And this is the thread that is not fully resolved by the end of this season, giving me lots of confidence that the writers have more planned for her in the future. The female perspective of life in the Edo period is not overlooked. It's massively restrictive of what women can and can't be. They are meant to be pretty and delicate, needing to manipulate a man in order to have any sort of influence. And these are things that Mizu is definitely not. Not only is she an outcast for being this blue-eyed monster, but she also would never fit in with society's vision of a woman and what one should be. In our world where stories of dark, brooding, vengeful men are the norm, and the hyper-violent fantasies of many men are then played through these characters, seeing it through a female perspective is very fresh. Mizu is definitely a Sigma female if I've ever seen one.
A breeze can throw a crane off course. You are a typhoon.
I'm on the path of revenge. There's no place on it for love or friendship or weakness.
When you do DMT, you see that.
But the thing is, this part of her character compounds on what we already know. She isn't just guts with XX chromosomes, but instead written in such a way for her sex to still have a strong impact on her history, motives, and how she interacts with other characters and the world around her. But after saying all that, maybe this archetype is not all that unique. Hold on, wait a second. Am I hearing this? Yes, you are hearing this. The first episode has a homage to Kill Bill by playing Battle Without Honor Humanity, which kind of make Mizu's true identity even more obvious. Because I lied to you again.
You got clickbaited, son.
This is not an anime that combines Berserk and Vagabond. Oh no. Because despite Blue Eye Samurai wearing its homages on its sleeve, its influences aren't necessarily the ones I've mentioned. Sure, as a viewer more well acquainted with manga and anime, I pick up on certain ideas I've seen elsewhere. This is Guts, Musashi, and a bit of Mulan all rolled into one. And Ringo is her Puck. Taigen is some sort of Zuko.
Owed my honor.
My honor, my honor.
And I'm pretty sure I saw a Rock Lee moment somewhere in there too. But when you listen to the creators talk about their inspirations, they talk about Kurosawa, Zatoichi, Kobayashi, the history of the period, and their previous experience in Hollywood.
We had so many influences. I mean, the first time we met Jane Woo, our supervising director, and nerded out about oh my God, you love Zatoichi. Obviously Kurosawa movies, but then also Mizoguchi, Lady Snowblood, Onibaba, Kuroneko by Shindo.
Kill Bill reference.
If people say they stole from Harakiri, we'll be like, thank you.
It's easy to reduce a series down to a genre or a blended mix of ideas. But that interpretation isn't as obviously correct as it initially may seem. After all, I don't mean to be reductive in my analysis when comparing things. It's easier to advertise and to explain to people the vibe of a show to those who have yet to experience it. And oh boy, do I want more people to watch it. Honestly, it's a little criminal to see how little I've seen this show of this quality talked about. And personally, I hope I've convinced you, the viewer, to go check it out. Because we don't know if we will be getting another season. Lied to you again. Since all that is determined by the popularity and success of season 1. So, go out and watch yourself some Blue Eye Samurai. After all, Blue Eye Samurai wears its inspirations on its sleeve. But like all the rest of us, it pulls from so many different places that it then becomes its own unique thing.